Hi guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. This is a bit of a rushed commentary just because I'm trying to get the right situation so you guys can see what's going on here. As you can see, a massive load of mercenaries are chasing me right now, and someone asked me to do a how to survive like a gank, how to escape guide. So here it is, it's coming. So first things first, the best thing you can do is be able to know which way you're going. I know that my goal is to hit this bottom corner right down here on my way out to Sutherfell. I know to do that. I can run straight across, try to skip these mobs so I don't get dazed, and already they realised I've managed to get ahead and make an attempt to escape. So again, people really underestimate the power of pathing, and pathing is such an important thing. I do apologise if you actually have my fan on. I didn't realise I had my main fan on. But pathing is such an important thing in this game. And again, just good pathing there, realising where the exits were. I have N bound to my mouse so that I can open my map really quickly, as you can see. And basically the idea is I'm going to go back in a second because I actually just finished killing a mammoth. And I am in under no illusion that I'm only on a T4 horse. I know 9 times out of 10 I'm going to be able to escape that, just because of good pathing. And this is it. So part of the thing that I want to talk about in this video is being able to there's no mammoth calf, is being able to realise and have an escape plan. So you're in black zone, you're in red zone, always have an escape plan. Figure out where your best yellow zone is, where your safest yellow zone is, because the two aren't always mutually exclusive, mutual, so to speak. As in right now, Sutherfell is probably my safest bet. It's a pretty dead zone. I have a territory just after it, so if I can survive during it, I'm pretty safe. It's also a really nice zone because it's got lots of terrain, so I can be smart with pathing and get through things without the other team having to, the gankers having too much of an advantage on me. And I can keep going like this all day long, and realistically there's nothing most teams are going to be able to do against that. So my plan at the moment, if I'm to get ganked, I'm going to go to Sutherfell, and then I'm going to go to Corpse Wash, and I'm going to sit in my territory and laugh. And that's my plan if they chase me all that way. If they just chase me out of Sutherfell, then it is what it is. So there's a couple of things I'm going to talk about. If I was getting ganked now, what I would do, I'd be looking on the map. So what I'm going to do is things like cutting corners. I cut corner there. You make a little bit of speed up. And again, I cut a corner there because I had good pathing. I can now see that I can go to the exit, but there's this little bit of terrain in the way. As you can see, the little bit of terrain, I'm going to cut right to it. And you just try to go for the most efficient thing possible. If no one is in your view right now, so if I was getting ganked now and no one was in my view, even after they chase me, what I would do is run up here and then run this way. Most people will zone through and try to find you, think you've already disappeared. Realistically, what you've done is actually run in the opposite direction. You're running away, and ultimately that gives you such a strong advantage to just get to a safe point. Like at this point, I could get to this corner and log out and I'd be absolutely fine and there wouldn't be an issue in the world. Another thing to sort of consider when being ganked is in a Hellgate, you are always looking for where the other team is, signs of where they could have been, how long ago they were there, that sort of stuff. You do that in open world as well. If you look at this rhino here, I can see there's rhinos dead. 1, 2, there was one further back down here. I know there's someone here farming rhinos. They're on the outskirts of the map, which means they're likely to just be like a solo farmer rather than someone that's actively killing them for skinning, because they're not skinning any of them. However, I now see this and there's 3 of them together. It's really hard to solo these rhinos, to like triple kill these rhinos. So whoever it is farming pretty efficiently, and we see one person here. So we see one person on his own. He is trying to solo the camp, and it looks like he's just out here solo. So I called it, he was out solo just farming stuff. And here he is. So we're actually going to swap to run. We are going to give this guy a good old gank attempt. Although he is mobile as high hell, he is going to get away. But again, we called it. We saw that someone was farming rhinos. Typically, they were just farming on the edges. They weren't farming anything in the middle, because we ran towards the middle. We saw the rhinos were still up, and funny enough, we saw someone there. Typically, what I will do on uncontested zones, things like castle zones, so like no respite. I'll look at neighbouring zones, mercenarios, and filthy casuals. Very, very Zergy guilds. We know that of both of these. Nilfgaard, not a particularly Zergy guild at the moment, just not got the members for it, but still they do have a presence in this area. Opposite then we have flag guys that won't tell me the name. I believe that's like friendly or something. I don't actually know, and I can't check the name. Then we have Nilfgaard, mercenarios, filthy casuals, blackout. Yeah, so we have a lot of guilds around. We can see what's going on. We can see the guilds that are likely to be around, and we then know what to expect. At the moment, I expect mercenarios are here pretty much constantly, and they're a Zergy guild. They also have a lot of presence in this area, as seen by like previous experience here. I know very well that that's big enough for me to realise that I need to be aware of them being there, is what I'm trying to say. Other things to look for is mind nodes. Typically, obviously, gatherers will go out and gather things solo. They don't typically take a hunting party with them. But mind nodes means there's gatherers nearby, especially higher tier ones, means that there's like high tier gatherers around who are particularly well protected, or typically are well protected by guilds. Guilds obviously wanting to make sure them resources are safe, so very important for them that if they get ganked, gatherers gear has a lot of ways to protect themselves, followed and obviously mixed in with the fact that so many gatherers have like farm in their own territories and higher tier guilds and that sort of thing. You just have to be aware that if you gank a gatherer, or if you see mind nodes and a gatherer sees you, he's probably calling that out to the world that you're there. The other thing to see is obviously blobs. We see the blob on the map right now down there. There is no need for me to go to that area of the zone right now. I have no want or need to be there. It's just a complete warning sign. Typically, I will stay away. So looking at the map now, you can see them there. They have two exits to go to, that being the easiest exit. If they get ganked from that side or that side, they're going to run this way. If they get ganked from this way or this way, they're going to run that way. So by that information already, I know that that area is particularly unsafe and that area is particularly unsafe. The rest of this map, or basically all of this side of this map, the northeast side of this map, is completely safe from that Zerg. So I've got no issues in being here. And again, you just have to weigh things up and be like, okay, where can I be in this map and be safe? And again, I'm really casual around here because I know that the only thing I'm going to meet is like 1v1s, and I have a really strong build for 1v1s. I'm not too worried about that. But again, you keep checking the map. If anything was to happen now, which zone would I go to? If I got ganked from this side, I would probably push up to this corner if I can outrun them. If not, I would actually push this way and potentially run round, down this way, down to this exit, or run to this one if I come from that way. But basically, I would actually try to run them into the Zerg, and this is a really important thing to note for when you're getting ganked. You want to remember that if you run them into another group, a bigger fish, so to speak, it's again down to risk versus reward. If suddenly a 10-man ganking squad sees you and you run to another Zerg, the risk is that they're going to get wiped by that other Zerg. The reward is one person's gear. So they're going to choose to fight it, or fight, or run, or potentially fight the other Zerg, at which point you're happy as well because you get to escape. Other big things to be noteful of in zones. Take a note, every time you log on, take a note of the timers of Hellgates. And this sounds really stupid, especially for people that do gathering, that sort of stuff. Take a note of the timers on the gatherers, or on the Hellgate, sorry, because if you go into a zone and the Hellgate's down between them two timers, it's not been like 2 minutes either way of that time, you know that someone's been in that zone in the last, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe, but typically between like 15 to 20 minutes at most. Ultimately, you know that there's a 5-man group coming out of there at some point. They're either going to die, of which case they're going to go to a city or a territory or whatever, or there's going to be a group of them that win the Hellgate and come out. that means at some point there's going to be a group of 5 PvPers roaming around. As a gatherer, that should be warning signs to most people, and it still makes me laugh how many people actually completely ignore Hellgates as an obvious sign of what's going on. In terms of, like, the biggest thing I can tell you for not getting ganked, especially as a gatherer, I've not died in gatherer's gear yet. In gatherer's gear, I typically run stuff like cleanse, stealth, and very, very fast sprints like flee. The idea behind all this is the fact that I don't want to be near them. I want to. It's not about me being able to try and defend myself. It is about every time I see an aggressive person, I run. I always keep a mount next to me. A mount next to me means I can make sure that no one's able to catch me off guard. I can always just jump back onto my mount and run off at will. You basically you need to play safe with it, and mounts, typically armoured horses, are the best. I know gatherers are obviously wanting to use either oxes or horses. I'm going to be doing a video not tomorrow but Friday actually about mounts and the best mounts to use in different situations. Also, down here I've seen the T7 Tiger. It's not skinned, so it's unlikely to be a gatherer. But I run over here and I see 2 T7 mobs, so that tells me that someone killed this on the way into going into here. Run into here, there's a bag on the floor. Someone's been in here. If I had to add 2 and 2 together just by experience of being in the zone, someone started here and they've worked around to get to the where that Zerg was, and it's probably that Zerg that was doing it. The fact that the Zerg's gone tells me one of a couple of things. They either met other players and fell back to retreat. Typically, though, at least one person's going to get caught in that encounter. A death is obviously a really obvious sign as to what's going on. Both guilds weren't particularly wanting to fight, potentially, and they've walked away. Or they've had a couple of people leave, which means that they're likely to be moving quite slow. Or they've either completely left the zone, or they're moving quite slow. So at this point, I would have to guess that they're somewhere either in that area still, because they won't be moving particularly quick if people have been leaving, or they've left the zone. Always presume that they're still in the zone unless you know otherwise, and you should be absolutely fine. Like, honestly, I'm right now trapped in a corner, and I am still at no worry about getting ganked. As you can see, a big mistake by me here, and this is just pure laziness right now, is the fact that I don't actually have my mount out. If I have my mount out, if you have your mount out, you are almost always safe. You can get away from stuff. Being able to dodge skill shots is obviously a massively important thing. Being able to dodge mob aggro is hugely important as well, because you have to keep your gallop up for as long as possible. But just to give an example, things like if I'm trying to run away from someone, they all follow me up here. Using pathing correctly, I can see on the map now there's going to be a turning down here. I'm going to run down. I'm going to run down again. And you just try to get that pathing as smooth as possible, so that you're taking the most efficient route possible. I skip the mob. I'm still checking the map to see where I can get out. I can get out up here if need be. There we go, and this is it. You just have to be able to do this. I can make a quick left, and this is how you run away from any situation. You just path correctly, and as long as you do that, you'll outrun most people, unless they're running a significantly faster mount, of which case this is why I always recommend horses to people doing gathering, just because most people won't be running much faster until later on into the game when direwolves are a lot more active. Also, for those that didn't actually see, that Zerg, still there. It's still there. So again, they probably had a couple of people leave, a couple of people AFK maybe, they've cleared on, the Zergs dropped, but as soon as they've all got back together, they've started Zerging again. And that tells me that they're now going to be moving back at their normal speed and rotating around. I've also seen that the movement started from down here to now moving this way. That tells me that they're going to move this way and back round. So anything I do in this area that I'm currently in, I need to hurry and get out of here, because they're going to be walking towards me. Just keep checking the map as and when you can, just to see what's going on. In terms of things like yellow zones, obviously yellow zones you have a hostile counter. Red zones you have a hostile counter. If you see loads of hostiles in a zone, if you ever see more than 3 hostiles in a zone, it's dangerous. It's an all-out war. There's probably a chest or something. If you ever see 1, maybe 2 PvPers. Typically they'll be grouped with each other, is the presumption you have to make. You have to presume that they're together, they're organised, and they're going for you. You just always have to presume that anyone you see in this game is a potential murderer. That they're going to want to come for you. Again, we see another bag. I'm on combat, and again, we see mercenarios here. So I'm just going to poke my head in, have a little laugh, say hi. I mean, no worry about getting ganked here. As you can see, their whole team's just running out. I'm going to check my map quickly to see where I'm going. And I'm going to pull right. And this Zerg. So the fact that they've just Zerged up tells me something. Tells me they're running with 9 people. I now know which guild they're in. So they're in Mercenarios. Mercenarios being here, meaning that this exit here is the zone that is the exit they're probably going to want to be around. Don't know what that ping is. I think that was actually me before. So that exit there is the one they're going to want to get to. It also showed me that I caused them to Zerg as soon as they got there. There they are. I caused them to Zerg as soon as I got there, and that means that they've got roughly 9 players. Again, very, very quick to just find my route. There is actually a 7-1 mammoth over there that I really want to kill. 2 of the 4 mammoth calves I've had so far have come off enchanted mammoths. I don't know if there's any actual logic to that, if there's any sense to that, if you do get increased chances. But right now, the odds are in my favour. I'm gonna take them odds at some point. And I am coming back to get that damn mammoth. So I see 2 mammoths. I really want these mammoths, but still, this Zerg's on the map. I know they're still around. They haven't gone anywhere. They know I'm one person because, I mean, ultimately they would have done a lot more if they knew I was more. And if I had to take a guess, I would say they've probably gone back to farming. I looked at the map there. You could see them picking up. I looked at combat logs there. Combat logs is something else I'd like to mention. You can actually use combat logs to find out where teams are. It's crazy good. It's crazy overpowered as well. Not where they are, sorry, but what they're looting, if they're picking things up. You can see silver, you can see items. Carrots are a killer at the moment because every like 3 mobs drops carrots. They're guaranteed. Basically, you're picking up so many carrots that it's really obvious to tell where groups are. Didn't even get a calf. What's that all about? I nearly die, get ganked, didn't even get a calf. This is my biggest mistake right now. I'm actually doing this without a mount. I'm doing it basically because I'm not running any good gear. I don't really care if I go down here. It would still be a shame, especially during the video, but it happens. This is the other thing to remember. This is going to be the last point I make for this. You're going to go down. It's going to happen. Just, you do what you can. You make sure you have every circumstance under your control. I mean, right now, looking at the map right now, I couldn't tell you where that Mercenarios group is. I couldn't tell you where the other Zerg group that was here is, because they most certainly didn't clear all of this. Because I was actually down in that corner and I didn't see anything. So at that point, we know that they're still around this area. There we go. They've actually just blobbed above me. So this is where I've got to be really careful. I'm already planning my route as to where I'm going. And I'm actually heading towards the siege camp. I'm heading there for a specific reason, purely because I've killed a load of mammoths. I'm probably just going to grab the stuff that's in there and leave. But I imagine they blobbed again because of me. They might have been looking for me still. It's probably that Mercenarios group with 9 people. It's just something that you've got to be aware of. And look how much I've avoided. I've avoided the gank at the start and a second gank later on. You just got to be aware of things that are going on, be able to path. I can see so many times where things are, where exits are, things like that, where I got stuck on that rock. That's really inefficient running away from a gank. If you get stuck on a rock or something, that could be the difference between life or death. So guys, thank you for watching. Tune into my future videos. I've got a mount video coming in the next couple of days covering every mount in the game, what their best use is, what they're for, how to get them. I've got the Albion World News thing tomorrow. Just to say one last point, we've just seen people pick up silver. We know there's a group here. I'm going to say this is probably, which guild is this? Another Mercenarios group. God damn, they get around, don't they? But anyway, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and catch you later, guys. Goodbye.